Coach Dro, how we doing this morning? All right, so I'm gonna get a little video breakdown going here. Um, so I haven't seen any of this film. I saw the first 10 seconds just to make sure this was the right film. Um, I haven't seen any of this film yet. I like to go in without having seen it. Just to kind of get like fresh eyes, good practice for some film breakdown. So let's hop right into it. So first play here, it's gonna be a 27-yard pass. Don't love to see that. Okay. So before we really get into this, what I'm seeing pre-snap uh, is we've got 4 down linemen, we've got 3 linebacker types. So this looks like base. I don't know our personnel, so these like technically I guess one of these guys could be a nickel, but this really does look like base. Um, the 4 DB types I'm seeing immediately just based off of the pre-snap look, this looks like 0, which I love. It's 3rd and 14. We're up 6. Let's heat them up. Why not? This looks like 0 because these two guys are stacked. These two safeties are stacked. Now, to me, when we're stacking the safeties like this, that means we're in man coverage. And these two cats would only have these two cats if we were in some sort of 0 look. Also, this corner being inside leverage, this corner probably looks like he's inside leverage. So to me, I'm reading 0. The other thing I'm seeing here is we're in an even front, which I like for 3rd and 14. And offensively, so we've got 3-by-1 pistol. This guy right here, so this cat that's playing Y, he looks light in the ass to me. He looks small. So he doesn't look like he's blocking. Also, the fact that he's on the line of scrimmage, whenever you see the number 3 on the line of scrimmage, or the number 2 for that matter, this to me makes me immediately assume he's going vertical. So I'm assuming this cat's going vertical just based off pre-snap alignment. That's the first thing I'm seeing. The other thing I'm seeing is this cat being 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. This cat right here. To me, offensively, I don't like that design personally because he's not really a vertical threat. So he can go vertical, obviously, but he's not really threatening us vertically because he's coming from depth. So I don't like that. Having these two cats stacked like this to me shows 0. Now, I haven't seen this play out, so I don't know if it's 0. But because this guy's off the line of scrimmage and this guy's on ball, I'm not saying it's something we have to do in terms of personnel, but what I've seen work is have this guy kind of come up and play an apex defender or kind of in that apex defender space or role that you would see in like a Nick Saban style defense. But that would be all based on if we think we can trust him to not get beat deep in that sort of more press alignment. So let's play this play out and see how this plays out. Okay. Okay, so we do get 0 here. So we do get cover 0. Yeah. Okay, so they just run a circus route. So he's gonna end up coming and then he's gonna get to corner kind of out like that. So that circus route is a pretty good answer for 0. In terms of coverage rules here, what I love to see is that this player right here, this player takes the back. So the back releases out this way, right? I'm pretty sure I saw that. See that quickly again. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that drawing was look at that. I got this new drawing tool for my film breakdowns and I love it. So that back releasing out to the weak side, this player gets him in the flat. I love that. What I would do if we're playing base against what to me looks like 10 personnel, because I don't actually truly think that third receiver to the strong side is a tight end. I would love if we were green dogging. So actually, kind of, I was breaking this down yesterday. I did. This is a Dolphins 2023 nickel lark. It's like Vic Fangio style. So, I mean, it's pretty common. You'll see in multiple places, but you have um, this player one, this player two, both responsible for the back, and then whatever side he releases to, the receiver to the opposite side will green dog or add on to pressure. Um, and if we are going to zero them here, I like sending the mic regardless because he won't have leverage on the back there. In terms of, do we get home? Yeah, okay. So they actually ID this pretty well in terms of they've got guard and tackle fanning out here to our even front, guard and tackle fanning out, and then the center ID'd the mic, and it's just the mic. So the center has the mic, but the mic just beats him in space. Routes wise, okay. So yeah, we have like smash with a little in. Okay. I like it. Good defensive call, heating them up. Sometimes they just make plays. So here, oh, I love this. So I've seen a tiny bit of your film. I haven't been able to see much of it because I'm not on the huddle. Um, so the only other film that I've seen is like a highlights package like this on Huddle from another team. Might have been Ironwood. But my first time seeing this film, and it looks like we're presenting zero again. So we've got birds on a fence here with inside leverage from the DB. When I say birds on a fence, I mean everybody is level, right? They're all at the exact same depth. To me, that's birds on a fence. We've got inside leverage here. So it kind of builds this little like fence type of look. I love it. So if we're going to heat them up again, especially on 3rd and 11, I love that. Offensively, we're 3rd and 11 on what looks like the plus 26-ish. From this distance, I'm thinking we want to protect the ball because we're pretty much in field goal range, right? High school field goals, pretty tough to hit consistently, but 3rd and 11 from the plus 26. If we trust our kicker, we should be in field goal range. So I'm not necessarily, our odds of converting on 3rd and 11 aren't that amazing. So I'm trying to protect the ball here if I'm the offense. And defensively, we know that. So I would love to see zero here again because we want to knock them out of field goal range, right? We've kind of like, we're assuming we can trust our guys to hold up 3rd and 11. If we can sack them here and knock them out of field goal range where they're not comfortable with it, I would love that. We've got what looks like 3x1 pistol, this time in 11 personnel with our tight end here. And defensively, we're in base again. So we've got 3 linebacker types, 3 down linemen, and it looks like we've got an even front once again with nobody necessarily lined up in front of the center here. All right, so let's see how this plays out. Oh, I love this call. I love this call. Okay. So we get to what looks to me like quarters. Actually, what do we have here? Okay. So this is a tough one. I love this call defensively. We've shown zero. We heated them up last highlight. So last significant 3rd and long, we heated them up. Now we're presenting zero again with birds on a fence, inside leverage from the corners. We've got base personnel against their 11 personnel. So we're showing, hey, we're going to heat you up, right? But we actually drop out and we get to either quarters, like a match type quarters, or cover 4 here. So to me, when I say match quarters or cover 4, that's because I don't know. I don't know what the call is here. I can't read this one because we're gonna get here. So we're gonna have him in the flat, him in the flat. He's gonna get out here into the flat. Sorry, the drawings aren't perfect. This tool that I'm using is new. My old one kind of was not as couldn't switch colors and stuff like that. So we end up getting kind of this typical quarters look, right? But what I'm not sure about is if we're playing a match quarters where we are having these two players, 1, 2, match based on a certain depth, or if we're just playing traditional country cover 4. So if we're playing like a match quarters, we need to have these guys. It's hard. They need to communicate. That's why communication on defense is so important, right? So the receivers get to about 8 yards, and this player stays on that number 2 or the slot defender. This player tries to pass this thing off, and he also stays with the number 2. So this guy ends up popping open. So either it's cover 4, and we just need to stay in our zone, and this safety right here, this safety right here needs to stay in his zone and he vacates, or it's a match quarters and this corner right here doesn't know the match depth, or these two have a miscommunication on, okay, they got to 8 yards, we're either matching, or maybe our match depth is 10 yards, or whatever the case may be. They need to know that depth, and they both need to be on the same page on that. But I really love this call because it completely fooled me. I thought it was 0, and sometimes you just get unlucky in terms of miscommunication, stuff like that, but that stuff can get ironed out. But also, it is Cienega's highlight film. That was the only film I could find, but so we're probably only going to see rough plays, but still, I like the call. I like everything. Process over results, in my opinion. Okay, so some Tucson high offense here. I like to see that. I'm at heart more offensive, but I like doing the breakdowns for both sides of the ball. Okay, so we have motion here. I love motion. So I actually did a little here. Let me see if I can pull this up here. I did a little motion, or not specific to motion. I did some football analytics work just using like a computer science program because I want to be offensive coordinator in the NFL. That's my long-term plan. That's the reason why I film one of these breakdowns every single morning and don't send them to anybody. They're just for me. So yesterday was the 2023 nickel lurk for the Dolphins. I'll do the film breakdown beforehand. I'll draw it up on the whiteboard. I'll do all that stuff. And eventually I'm going to start posting it to YouTube, probably here soon, but I want reps in this type of world. So this analytics that I did, this was all just for me to figure out, because I play called for 2 years in Canada, but I wanted like to figure out mathematically efficient play calling. And one of the takeaways I had was how helpful motion can be, which is kind of intuitive, but to me it was like, okay, mathematically motion is 3+ times as efficient in terms of EPA. So that EPA metric is expected points added per play. Basically means motion can, in theory, be 3 times as good as non-motion plays. So let me see here. Let's get back to our play. Okay. So we motion, and just what do we see here? Go to school on the motion is what I've heard. You just watch The shell of the defense. Okay, so nobody moves. So when nobody moves, to me, that means we're probably, it's like basically a certainty we're getting zone unless they check out. But at the high school level, usually high school teams don't really have quick checks for motion that often. Um, we're probably getting zone, or if you really want to extrapolate it more at the college and pro level, we're probably getting a zone blitz. Um, because in zone, you would probably still motion somebody out. So if the running back came out here, let's say the running back was like here, and they put a corner, so this corner right here bumps out to him, and he's playing them like head up like that, then to me, that would mean it's zone. If we had a linebacker or a safety type, let's say this cat would roll down to cover him, or we had like this cat come out. To me, that's man. That's the obvious man zone indicator. But when nobody moves at all, to me, that usually means zone blitz. And the reason I say that is because in a zone blitz, you usually would have very specific landmarks and depths you have to get to. And because you have less guys in coverage, you wouldn't risk trying to like hide what you're doing necessarily. You would be like, okay, well, if we only have 5 guys in coverage, 6 guys in coverage, then we can't really mess around with trying to hide what we're doing here. What do we have? So we've got what looks like 21 personnel. Okay. I won't spend too much time on this one actually because we're not on defense here. Okay, well. Okay, so we get what plays out. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so this plays out like 3 cloud. So this corner right here, he is going to play cloud to the boundary. And then we're gonna have this guy play kind of like hug curl, and then we're gonna get over here to the flat. And then we're gonna have this guy's gonna be that third. This guy right here is gonna come over to this third. At least I think this is how cloud 3 cloud would typically play out. And then this guy is gonna get to his deep third. So that's how it would typically play out with this corner here being the cloud corner. So let's see here. Let me get rid of that. Yeah. Okay, so we get 3 cloud, which, and then our quarterback just throws it up. So I don't know. Typically, you'll see that kind of play from good quarterbacks because usually good quarterbacks will think I can make any throw in the world and do that. JJ McCarthy, I saw it when I was at IMG, we would watch a ton of his film. Well, I would go in with some of the coaches sometimes to get extra film watching time in, and he struggled with this a ton. It's like you know you're a good player and you think you can make every throw. So a lot of times in high school before they can kind of develop and mature, they'll just kind of throw stuff up like this. So it happens. I mean, he knows not to do that, but it happens. What do we have here? Okay, so this to me looks like 0 again. I love this defense. Oh, I love it. Okay, and it's 0. They're not birds on a fence, but the reason to me this looks like 0 is this inside leverage once again, right? And these 2 safeties, when I say inside leverage, I mean this corner. These 2 safeties are really close to each other. So if we were in like middle field open look, like quarter cover 4 or cover 2 or cover 7 or any of that type of stuff, these guys would be wider out. Them being tight like that to me kind of makes me think they're playing man. So I would love this if we get cover 0 again. So yeah. Uh, we've got base again. Okay, so we've got base defense, right? And we have another, what looks like an even front with no one head up on the center. So to me, I'm thinking zero again because that's this kind of same look presentation we've shown when we've run zero multiple times now. Let's see, we actually end up getting to here. The offense is in 3-by-1. I would say 11 personnel. That guy looks pretty big. That number 3 slot type receiver, or well, what I would consider a Y tight end. But let's see what we do here. Okay, I like it. I like it. All right, so we don't get zero here. Or wait, do we? Let's see. Yeah, we do. Okay. So we're gonna end up getting zero here. So we've got, oh, I love it. We've got him, that inside leverage that we were talking about kind of gives him the advantage in zero. And then this strong backer is gonna take one of these two guys. Usually he would have the first one vertical. When they're so close like this, you can kind of have the rules where they don't necessarily have a guy. He has first one vertical, then he has second one anywhere they go. Um, so we get that. But what's interesting about this play here is that we only have 3 guys who actually release into routes, right? So that linebacker does take the first vertical, but then when the running back and the tight end stay to block, these 2 guys kind of just sit in that kind of like hook curl zone, um, which is an option if you're expecting like crossing routes, stuff like that. But with the way it plays out, because we play hook curl instead of like now essentially once neither of them have a responsibility, it kind of turns into like cover 2 man or cover 7. It ends up leaving our guy one-on-one. And uh, yeah, I mean, what does the DB do here? Let's see, okay, decent pass. Oh, I thought he T-stepped at first, but he looks to me like he actually just does a little step and replace. Yeah, so he does a step and replace. He actually recovers pretty quickly, but the receiver was just like a foot taller than him, so nothing you can do about that. All right, let's see this. Okay, so we are presenting cover 0 here again. I love it. So 3rd and 8 to me, especially when they're backed up like this, I love presenting cover 0, especially because we've done it so consistently. We want to make them show that they have answers to this, right? So we want to make this quarterback and these perimeter players show we have answers to 0, because at the high school level, most teams don't. Most teams can't handle this. And NFL teams can't handle this. Like the Eagles, for example, are an amazing team, a ton of talent, but they have no hot answers. So we want to make them prove to us that they can handle cover 0. I love that philosophy. I really do. So let's see here how this plays out though. What do we end up getting? So it looks to me like those backers are blitzing. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't tell what that coverage was. Give me a second here. What is this? Now I kind of wish I'd watched this film before starting. Okay. Okay, I love this. I love this. Okay, so we get, to me, what I would call stump. That would be like Nick Saban's terminology. And the reason I say stump and not stubby is because they're basically the same coverage, but in stump you're playing off coverage and stubby you're playing press coverage. Um, that's just kind of my terminology, but what it is, it's man on these two cats. So man everywhere he goes. You have no help virtually. Like you'll never have any help when you're playing this. So you have to be able to trust your corners. And then these three players are gonna cone it. So it's 3/2. Um, and it's kind of just like a match concept where this guy right here, he will have the first one shallow and inside. So he's going to kind of play this apex defender and try to jam somebody, disrupt the timing, disrupt the route, get in its way. And he's going to match to someone who goes shallow here. This player will end up kind of taking whoever goes deep and inside. This guy will have like kind of deep and outside. And then you just kind of read it out and you just match. And that the reason I love that is because you have leverage and you presented 0 and you're still heating them up, I think. I think we're still sending 5. So I like this all around. The way you beat this offensively would be, to me, whenever I see this, I would always think, okay, if we're catching some sort of like stump, stubby, any kind of like matchy type principles, you want to have two going to the same side. So if we have like this, I mean, that's a horrible drawing, but like, you know what I mean? Two go in the same direction. That way you can kind of like beat their leverage. Or if they've kind of got this shaded inside, if you have two go breaking to the outside, you can beat their leverage even better. And that's kind of how you counter it, in my opinion. But we end up, okay. Oh, I love that. Okay, so this really messes with the quarterback, right? So as a play caller, offensive, whenever this quarterback sees, I think it's this player right here. I'm not sure, but I think so. Whenever he sees him come, he knows that now he's got 6 rushers, only 5 blockers. So he's like, now he's hot, right? He's like, I have to get this ball out to a hot route. But we actually end up peeling. So he starts pressuring, and then once the back releases, he comes out and he peels with the back. I love that because now the quarterback's no longer hot, but he's already seen that. So he thinks he's hot. He's going to play he's hot. So it's going to mess with his timing. So defensive scheme, I love that. We end up actually just getting unlucky here, I'm pretty sure, where, yeah, to me, that's not a penalty. His feet just get tied up. That's just unlucky. But coverage-wise, okay, so they actually run one of my favorite plays here. They run kind of like an air raid mesh spike with this player. He comes shallow and then he spikes it as opposed to, let me get a better drawing. Comes shallow and then he spikes it as opposed to like your traditional like meshy type play. And that's going to be really good against this coverage or really against 0 because any type of like man match principle, because you're going to get this pick from this player right here if we execute it correctly. And then that spike is going to kind of take that vacated space. So I like that. Mesh is one of my favorite plays. You really kind of have answers against everything. So if we get back to kind of the start of this play here, we've got, that'll typically be one that's shallow. Or sorry. Okay, let me get this straight here, and then we'll be able to break down. So this can really be anything on the backside. So let's just leave this as the base of mesh, right? So typically your first read will be here, this running back. That'll be 1. this kind of rail that's almost always built into mesh these days. Number two will be this shallow, the one that's coming towards the rail. And typically, so this drawing, I didn't draw it up well, but this drawing, typically you would want this player to be the over part of the mesh and this player to actually be the shallow. So he's actually going to be the one that like comes shallow, and this player would be the one that kind of goes over. Let me get rid of that so it's not confusing, but because you want to have this player being the one who sets the pick for the guy coming on the shallow. Your third read is going to be that kind of over the ball here. That's like your zone beater, because he's going to find the soft spot, whereas the rest of this play is mostly a man concept. Your fourth read will be this guy who set the pick, and then he kind of continues leaking. And then on the fifth read, you never really would get to a fifth read, especially at the high school level. But to me, this could be anything. So that could be a post. That could be kind of like a comeback. That could be just like a straight kind of in, dig. This could really be anything. You could really just have this cat go vertical. It could really be anything. That's kind of just you tag it, and then that would be kind of like an alert. So if you just like see that you're getting 1-on-1 or 0 and you just love the matchup, then you could kind of just alert this and not play the readout, but you won't typically get to that guy through like a read. And then you just read this from the quarterback's perspective, right to left. See how it all kind of like goes in one direction. Anyway, that's probably too in the weeds. Or not in the weeds necessarily, but for a defensive breakdown, I'm like an offensive minded guy, so I kind of just got lost in the mesh world. But yeah, sorry about that. I'll try to stay more defensive here. But I love peeling that backer here. I actually think we had a great call on there with kind of like the match 3/2 principle, and we just get unlucky with a flag. Here, we've got, so we've got what looks like 2x2 with this player being a tight end. I'm pretty sure. We've got this running back very deep. Now, to me, whenever I see a back that deep, like in pistol, usually his spacing has been different. Usually you'd see that at about like 7. They've been having him at about like 6. Right now he's at about 8. So, if I'm the defensive coordinator here, if I'm thinking like a defensive coordinator here, I'm thinking, okay, this is probably a downhill running play, right? Because he's got depth. He wants to be able to come downhill and hit this. Sorry. He wants to be able to come down and hit that. Just because that spacing is a little different. But we're presenting here right now. We're not presenting 0. We're presenting, to me, what looks like cover 6. So we're gonna have him playing kind of that cloud defender. He's got deep half. He's got here. Let me switch that up so you can kind of see where it changes. Deep quarter, deep quarter. We're gonna have this cat probably get out here to that flat. This guy play kind of like that hook curl, and then have like a hook curl right here. For more preciseness there. So that's kind of how we're presenting defensively. I like that call. That's just kind of what the shell or the DB types alignment says to me. Let's see how this thing plays out. Oh, okay. So I was very wrong. I was very wrong. So yeah, we do not get a downhill running play. We get, I mean, his alignment was a little like his suspicious alignment was kind of true because he didn't necessarily do a true running back type of play, but that like swing action was not what I was expecting. But I guess it makes sense why he would have depth for that. Um, we end up kind of getting like a Shanahan-esque type play here where we're faking this kind of like swing pass and we're getting to this kind of like tunnel pass. Um, I love this play call offensively. We set it up with that fake. Um, we just have to make a tackle here, and yeah, it's tough. I mean, nothing you can really do about that. You've got an opportunity here for a tackle for a 2-yard gain, and sometimes they make plays. I mean, they've got football players too, so happens. Um, that's a 37-yard touchdown pass. Oh, okay. So right here we are presenting 0. I love it. I love it. We are 3rd and 2 on the like plus 36 offensively. So it's 4 down territory. Um, I love playing 0 here, 4 down territory. They're like, if we just kind of play conservative, they have 2 downs, 2 yards. Analytically speaking, they'll probably pick that up. Um, but if we play 0 here and we can get some sort of loss, we can swing those odds a lot and maybe force them to punt because they're not going to be able to kick it from like 60. Presenting 0 again, birds on a fence. We have, it looks like they're in what I would call 12 personnel because to me, I wouldn't identify that guy as a fullback. I'd say that's like a tight end playing kind of like a sniffer. So maybe like 12 light. Um, and we're in base again, probably. I was gonna say even front, but I can't tell from this angle. And let's see how this plays out. Okay. So I love this play offensively. I love this play call. I actually think this offensive coordinator, from what I've seen, I mean, this is their highlight package. So, I mean, they have 13 points and it's the fourth quarter. So clearly we've dominated them for the most part defensively, but this is their highlight package. And um, it's the only film I have. So I don't want to seem slanted or anything. It's just, anyway, um, they are, so they're running like, this is another kind of Shanahan. Well, this is more like Kyle Shanahan's dad, like Mike Shanahan, old school Y cross, West Coasty. Um, and this quarterback just does like a Mahomes play. So this play, the reason I love it is typically that I'm not going to actually, yeah, I'm going to stop myself. I'm not going to get too in the weeds with the offensive stuff because it's supposed to be a defensive breakdown. These kind of coming in the sneak flat. We get this player and kind of the Y will run that. Oh, sorry. New drawing tool. Y will run that kind of like over. And the reason that play works a lot is because you're going to kind of read that outside linebacker there. But defensively, we actually have this played out really well. So I assumed that this was a cover 0, but we're not playing cover 0. We bait them into it. We have one player for that kind of like sneak hide flat, and we have 2 players on the Y cross. So that's what they're primarily reading on this play, and we have it absolutely locked up. Their quarterback, I mean, we can't see who catches it or where he catches it, but their quarterback just makes it a great play. There's nothing you can do about that. Well, I mean, in theory, you can try to like swat the ball or you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. Um, here we have, okay, 2nd and 2, fourth quarter. We're up 3. They've got They're going in motion, which I love. I can't tell their personnel here. Looks like we've got one back. I'm assuming two tight ends. I can't see the second tight end, but maybe he's just. Oh, okay, one of the tight end. The angle of the camera was covering the other one. We've got this like jet sweep motion. And oh, that's okay. So they just have zone read lead from the sniffer. I love this play. This is like a Baltimore Ravens play. They run this all the time. You've got zone read lead, so we're gonna be reading not the edge. This is a really important distinction. We're not reading the edge. We're reading the C gap defender. So this player coming across in motion, he's going to dictate the read. So this quarterback actually makes the wrong read here. So if we pause it, this, not the edge, because it could be a different player. This C gap defender, if he can tackle the back, if he spills this thing and he can tackle the back, then we're going to pull it. If he kind of starts surfing or playing upfield for the quarterback, then we're going to give it and it'll just be like inside zone. The zone read lead, the lead part of it here is that this sniffer player, what I would call like a tight end or like an H-back sometimes, this sniffer type player, he's going to come here and he's going to be leading up for the quarterback pull. So he's going to be typically leading up for like outside linebacker or a safety, whoever kind of presents themselves out here. If this edge player crashes or spills this thing and he goes for the back, that would mean that he's cutting under the sniffer, and that would be the pull read. But in this case, he actually goes over the sniffer. So in that case, you just want to hand the ball off on inside zone, get our running back a chance to pick up 2 yards on the goal line. The quarterback doesn't. He doesn't make the right read. He pulls it, but they're able to get in because the quarterback here has played at least from the highlight package, which just kind of gives a skewed lens, plays a good game here. Let's see. So this C gap defender here, yeah, he kind of just gets. So he goes over, but he still kind of ends up spilling it because he kind of starts charging the back after the mesh point there. And then that's great effort from, I think that's probably the corner who's coming in to try to make the play. But it's just hard. Quarterback run game is really tough on a defense. We're going to be, it's hard because now they have the +1, right? When they've got the quarterback run game, they've got the additional blocker in the box. And especially in like a too high look, they're always going to have the numbers there. So it's tough. It's hard. I don't have access to your film yet, so I had to break down a highlight package of the worst plays. So I apologize for that. I thought it was called, the defense was called really well. I love that your base coverage is 0. I love that. Make them prove to you that they can beat it. Most teams won't. Oh, wow. Wow. So we get 322 yards here. So we have more yards and we have 15 passing yards. So we almost, this must have been, I heard talk about like quarterback injury. This must have been during the quarterback injury period. That is crazy. Yeah. Wow. That's it's impressive. 300 rushing yards. All right. I appreciate you watching this. Yeah. I'll see you today. Let's go.